Mind you, not in our viewing area right now, but just to the west of Pike County, Ohio. Not Pike County, Kentucky, Pike County, Ohio. Just to the west of you, there's another tornado warning in northern Adams County, Ohio. The one right now we have to track, though, is the one in central parts of Lewis County, Kentucky, just to the west of Vanceburg. And Hannah, if we could zoom on in to this area, I want to get some streets here so we can nail this down. This is Kentucky State Route 540, or excuse me, Kentucky State Route 10 here, just to the west of Charters, Kentucky. Very small community, lots of woods out here. It's headed toward the city of Vanceburg here too. And again, right in this notch that you see right here is where that rotation is. Pretty tight rotation. The green is where you see winds moving toward the radar. The red is where you see winds moving away from the radar. And that tight rotation right now on top of Kentucky State Route 10, headed to the east. Do we have a forward speed on that, Hannah? 30 miles an hour. So let's track this further to the east toward the Vanceburg area at 30 miles an hour. Again, tornado warning until 6:15 for central Lewis County, Kentucky. Tracking this to the east at 30 miles an hour. This would take it through Vanceburg, and if it does hold together eventually in portions of Greenup County, Kentucky, northern Carter County, Kentucky as well. So let's track this. Charters 6:04 p.m., 6:16 p.m. in Vanceburg, 6:23 p.m. in Rockville, 6:33 p.m. in Garrison. That's right along the Ohio River right there in Garrison, Kentucky. 6:38 p.m. Quincy, Kentucky. 6:46 p.m. York, Kentucky. That would take that into Greenup County, Kentucky here. Tornado warning not in place for Greenup County, Kentucky just yet. We'll have to see what the National Weather Service in Charleston ultimately decides to do with this, and eventually what the National Weather Service in Wilmington decides to do with this as it tracks to the east. This is a radar indicated threat, meaning we haven't had any ground truth of seeing any tornado. It would be rain wrapped based on the picture that I'm seeing, so you don't want to go out and try to look at this. If you try to do that, first of all, there's a lot of hills and trees in this area, so not ideal for trying to view tornadoes. Also, again, the rain situation that's with this storm, this could be a rain wrap situation. So what you want to do, you want to be in your tornado safe place if you're in Vanceburg along Kentucky State Route 10 as well. That's indoors in a site-built structure inside a sturdy home away from windows. You want to put as many walls between you and the outside as you possibly can, and bring in any type of cushioning, blankets or pillows, anything like that. Take your phone in, or if you don't have your phone, turn your TV up as loud as you can so you can hear us, and then once we can sound that all clear, we will definitely do that. But as Hannah showed that velocity picture, let's pull that up again, Hannah. That's a really tight circulation, again, just to the west of downtown Vanceburg, Kentucky. So that's the county seat of Lewis County, headed pretty much straight for Vanceburg. This is not at least a ground truth just yet, although we can kind of slice and dice the storm up here and look at the debris. If we can pull up that correlation coefficient, see if we can track any tornadic debris. Doesn't look like anything is over the top noisy at this point, just a lot of noise in this. And this is pretty far away from the Wilmington, Ohio radar site, so trying to see any tornadic debris is going to be tough out here. So good news is, doesn't look like we're seeing any sort of debris coming out of this. So let's go back to that velocity image, and we'll kind of give you an idea. Again, pretty tight circulation, meaning that there's swirling clouds high up in the sky. No ground truth just yet, but you don't want to take any chances, because just because there is no tornado on the ground right now in Vanceburg doesn't mean we can't see one a little bit later on. Let's take a wider view. I want to show you this line of storms that is working its way further and further to the east. Severe thunderstorm warnings in place for Rowan County, Kentucky, Elliott County, Kentucky, all the way down into parts of Morgan County, on the doorstep of Magoffin County until, let's say, around the 6 p.m. time frame. 2 tornado warnings, one outside of our viewing area, southern Highland County, Ohio, northern Adams County, Ohio, but the one that takes precedence right now is the tornado warning in central Lewis County, Kentucky. So if we can zoom back into this, most of these, by the way, severe thunderstorm warnings would basically indicate winds capable of 60 miles an hour or greater. Could bring down a few trees and limbs, but what takes precedence, again, this red box here in Lewis County, Kentucky. Let's zoom back into that till 6:15 p.m., that tornado warning, and it does include downtown Vanceburg, Kentucky. This little notch that you see here, let's circle that up. Again, that's wind kind of feeding into that. The green, is wind headed toward the radar, and the red you see here is wind headed away from the radar. And again, this rotation right on top top of Kentucky State Route 10, headed toward the Vanceburg area, the Garrison area, and eventually right here along the Greenup County line if it does ultimately hold together. Let's zoom back in. I want to give you a few roads out in this general area so you know where you need to take your safe place, get into your tornado safe place. So zooming back in, we see Kentucky State Route 10 near the Charters area here, Kentucky State Route 3037, as you see that icon just over top of me, and then you get further to the east. That's where that tornado warning kind of is a little bit further away. Tony Cavalier is in. I want to bring him in, talk about what he's seeing from his side of things. Tony?
You know, it's interesting, Nicholas and Hannah, the tornado alert right now is a level 1. It's being detected on radar. So radar seeing a swirl and likely a funnel cloud up in the heavens that sometimes can touch down. This is kind of a tropical atmosphere right now, and by that I mean the humidity has come up and there's just enough wind in the upper atmosphere to try to spin up a tornado wannabe. And so what do you do during a tornado 1 alert? Well, since the radar sees a swirl, you have to respect this for flying debris outside. You're staying away from windows. And the high wind and hail risk is always a possibility. So if you're ahead of this storm, if you hear the rumble and it's not right overhead and the thunder and lightning, I would try to get your car into a carport or into a garage because of the opportunity for strong winds. Because oftentimes when there's a rotation aloft, we wind up with gusty, strong winds at ground level. So I want to show you the Portsmouth, Ohio weather cam looking to the west of the Scioto Trail where the main activity is. And we're going to keep a close eye on this moving toward the Scioto Trail here as we get to the 6 o'clock hour and beyond. And toward Huntington, eventually we're going to wind up with showers and thunderstorms also coming in here later on tonight. I want to also point your attention to a couple of squalls that have reformed now along I-64 between Huntington and Culloden, and especially the cell that's moving out of northern Cabell County near the Wildlife Reserve and up into southern Mason County. That's actually showing some signs of potency, so don't be surprised if there are some strong winds in parts of Cabell and Mason County here shortly. The go-to field I'd like to look at is called the vertically integrated liquid. It's a fancy way of saying where are the most severe storms. I saw a red dollop near Maysville. That's kind of just petered away into a green echo. So the bottom line is that rotation that Nicholas was seeing, it's near Vanceburg right now. Basically, when you're seeing rotation, when you see a green, you're heading toward the radar in Wilmington, and a red away from the radar. And as I like to teach when I go to schools, if you think of that rotation, it's trying to spin up at least a tornado, a funnel cloud aloft. Again, this was not expected to be a severe tornado day. The atmosphere is humid, though, and it is producing showers and downpours and thunderstorms. So we're keeping a close eye on this to come in. And for evening JV football games that don't end, for example, before 8 o'clock, for those in the Huntington area eastward or in northern Kentucky, southern Ohio, cheerleading band practices are going to be impacted much like a Little League baseball evening, with showers and downpours keeping that activity, basically allowing for those activities to tamp down. So Nicholas Snyder, are you ready for a new presentation? Should I keep going here?
Yeah, we're good. I'm ready.
All right, Nicholas, pick it up.
All right, yeah, so we again are tracking this area of rotation just to the northeast of Vanceburg right now. This is right along Kentucky State Route 10. Again, the AA highway. Looks like a new area of circulation is trying to organize a little bit just to the north hand. If you could recenter that circle kind of where this pink is. No, further down right there where this little pink area is next to this green, just to the northwest of Vanceburg here, kind of in between Kentucky State Route 10. Yeah, right there, and the Ohio River right there. So not saying that Vanceburg's all clear at this point, but the better rotation now just does appear to be to the northwest of northwest of Vanceburg, moving to the north and east. So this would take this now into Scioto County toward the Nile area. So let's track this again, north and east at 30 miles an hour, and this is getting close to the eastern edge of that tornado warning. We'll see ultimately what the National Weather Service in Wilmington decides to do with it. It still looks fairly organized to me. So let's track this. 6:29 p.m. Nile, Ohio. That's in southwestern Scioto County right about here. 6:33 p.m. Pond Run. If you're along Kentucky State Route 10 west of Vanceburg all the way to Vanceburg, you really don't want to be driving in this situation. That's not really a safe place to be. You want to find a nearby gas station, convenience store, restaurant, pull over there. And I know there's not a whole lot out of here. This is a very rural area within our viewing area, but find any building that you could pull over because cars are not a safe place to be in a tornadic situation. Again, moving to the northeast at 30 miles an hour, getting close to that eastern edge of the tornado warning. But ultimately, let's take all the tracks off and the circles off. I kind of want to show you just a broad zone where we're seeing a little bit of rotation with that stronger circulation a little bit just to the north of Vanceburg. New tornado warning now just issued for southwestern Scioto County. Does not include downtown Portsmouth, but I was mentioning that Niles, Ohio area does include that, and it does include US 52 all the way back to the Adams County line in Scioto County. So new tornado warning again. Let's see when that expires. If we could go up to that one, Hannah, that would tell us when it would expire. If we just move the map, it should automatically change for us there. This expires now at 6:30 p.m. Does include the city of Niles. Once again, this is a radar indicated circulation, meaning we haven't seen any ground truth with this just yet, but it does appear that this area of circulation is spinning up quite a bit just to the north of Vanceburg and just to the south of the Ohio River. So just to the south of the Ohio-Kentucky line here in between Vanceburg and the Ohio-Kentucky line, moving to the northeast at 30 miles an hour. Again, 6:28 p.m. Niles is when this is going to be on top of you. You want to be in that tornado safe place if you're there. Pond Run, 6:32 p.m. Right now, 6:06 p.m. So you have a little bit of time here. These are slow-moving storms, not a whole lot of wind high up in the sky to push these rapidly to the east, but still you want to think about getting into that tornado safe place. Where is that? That's a basement if you have one. If no basement, a small room near the center of your home, away from windows, in a site-built sturdy structure. Mobile homes aren't a safe place to be in this situation, but you want to put as many walls between you and the outside world as you possibly can. Bring in your phone if you can do that, or find a way to listen to us. Maybe turn that TV up as loud as you can, and once we can sound that all clear for you, we will. Getting
The National Weather Service in Wilmington has issued a tornado warning for southeastern Adams County in south-central Ohio, southwestern Scioto County in south-central Ohio, until 6:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. At 6:05 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located over Vanceburg, moving northeast at 30 miles per hour. Hazard, tornado. Source, radar indicated rotation. Impact, flying debris will be dangerous to those caught without shelter. Mobile homes will be damaged or destroyed. Damage to roofs, windows, and vehicles will occur. Tree damage is likely. Locations impacted include Rome, Friendship, Sandy Springs, Buena Vista in Scioto County, Turkey Creek Lake, and West Portsmouth. Repeating, a tornado warning has been issued until 6:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time for the following county: Scioto, Ohio.
Kentucky State Route 8 near the Vanceburg area. Want to be in that tornado safe place. Tony's back with more. Tony?
Nick, I want to take you back to September of 2010, where there was a tornado warning, a series that came out of Columbus, skimmed across parts of Meigs, Athens County, over into Work County in West Virginia. In fact, that was the one that did damage at old Athens High Stadium that was then renamed Scott Riggs and Family Stadium. I remember reporting there, because September is not typically a tornado month, but as long as it's hot and humid, as long as there's wind as there was today, there's the opportunity for some severe weather. And this evening, the National Weather Service, seeing rotation on radar, has issued a tornado warning for those parts of Lewis and Scioto County in Ohio. The radar seeing a swirl, and when the swirl is detected after 2 consecutive scans of the Doppler radar, scanning 12 minutes, the National Weather Service dutifully issues a tornado warning. During these times, it's important to stay inside. Flying debris, that would mean some tree limbs being whisked around, because even if there isn't a tornado, oftentimes there are gusty winds. So there's a high wind and a brief hail risk, whether it be in parts of Lewis or Scioto County. We're keeping a close eye. The damage to weak structures can often occur even with the downburst winds that occur. As far as the Southern Ohio Medical Center weather cam's concerned, again, looking up the Scioto Trail, skies are threatening right now, but as far as rain in Scioto County, it's just now raining into the western portions of the county. And that deep red line, again, it's reminiscent of a fall thunderstorm line that can create some strong winds, and oftentimes along the line there will be at least a chance of a brief spin up. I'm actually seeing some nice activity that's along I-64 Huntington to Charleston, you can see heading northward. So evening activities, whether it be cheerleading practice, band practice, soccer practices, are being impacted in parts of Cabell, Putnam, and over into Mason County in West Virginia. Let me stress, though, the main line is to the west. And when this arrives in the Huntington area by 8 o'clock and Charleston by 10 o'clock, it will likely be non-severe, but will have some thunder and lightning with it. So we can see the deep reds have now disappeared on the vertically integrated liquid. It's a field I like to go to for true severe weather. And that was certainly a severe indication earlier to the west. And what Nicholas means by a broad circulation, as opposed to these two colors of green and red being tightly together, basically the rotation is broad. In other words, it's over a long scale, and that usually means some strong winds for sure, but oftentimes it doesn't mean that there is a major tornado threat. However, if we were to look at the Doppler radar presentation, 30 miles an hour in the wind over near Vanceburg, head up into Adams County, we're seeing 24-mile-an-hour winds, back into parts of Lewis County and just north of Rowan County. So right now the circulation is prominent in that it's producing gusty winds, and there's a lot of lightning in here. If I was to do a little track on that as far as the amount of lightning going on in this, and you're going to see some pretty prominent activity as far as this area is concerned. The lightning in this zone is on the order of probably 100 strikes over a 15-minute period, whether it be in 4 different counties, Rowan and over into Lewis County, or I should say Lewis into Mason County in Kentucky and Adams into Scioto County, Ohio. We noticed that there was as much as 100 lightning strikes here. So there's going to be some power hits from lightning strikes, hopefully just power flickers. But the overall pattern, again, is conducive to heavy rains coming in, likely some nuisance street flooding, and we'll keep a close eye. It's the National Weather Service who's issued these tornado warnings. It's our duty to report them to you as they issue, and we give commentary on where the storms are and where the storms are heading. And the bottom line is we do have showers and thunderstorms coming in. Nicholas, what do you have on the developing situation?
All right, so we do have a new severe thunderstorm warning now for portions of Greenup County and Carter County. If we can go back to my computer there, we can look at that. There we go. New severe thunderstorm warning now. They did not extend the tornado warning out of Wilmington. Good news for those of us in Grayson, for those of us in Greenup County here, but still they're mentioning the possibility. You see this kind of orange highlight to this. That means the possibility of a potential tornado warning down the line as it works its way to the east. The area of rotation now into parts of Adams County, Ohio. Let's move back up to that, where it's very, very kind of hard to point out, but on our reflectivity, you see that little turning of the reds. You see that, and of course it's very easy to spot here on our velocity product, in which the greens are very close together with the reds. Green is wind headed toward the radar, red is wind heading away from the radar right there. I want to point out new tornado warning now for Pike County, Ohio. Let's go up to that one here. That does, I believe, include the city of Piketon and Waverly right here. This now is until 6:45 p.m., excuse me, and yes, does include the city of Piketon and parts of US 23 just to the south of Piketon here. So this is moving to the east, northeast at about 30 miles an hour here as well. It's still in parts of Adams and Highland County, Ohio, but a pretty tight circulation right here just to the south of State Route 124 in Highland County, Ohio, and this would be moving to the east into Pike County, Ohio, toward the Morgantown, Ohio area, towards Sunfish, right along State Route 124 in Ohio. And again, new tornado warning for Pike County, Ohio till 6:45 p.m. for that circulation. That is just outside of our viewing area, but once it does enter into Pike County, Ohio, that would be our viewing area. Let's go back further to the south, though, to our Scioto County storm. And again, this circulation still just into Adams County, Ohio. It looks like a new circulation, Hannah, up here. Let's go back right near State Route 348 here. This is not included in the tornado warning, but if you're toward Otway, if you're toward Raritan, we may need to watch for a new tornado warning here, eastern Adams County. That's a pretty good tight circulation here near State Route 348. So if you're toward Otway in Scioto County, first alert for you, you may have a new tornado warning coming shortly, but the one that takes precedence right here now is further to the south, just to the southwest of Nile, just to the south of Ohio State Route 125 here. This circulation down here into right along the Adams-Scioto County line here in Ohio. By the way, the tornado warning for Lewis County, Kentucky has been canceled, so now it is just Scioto County, Ohio, and Pike County, Ohio. The one for Scioto County till 6:30 p.m., the one for Pike County, Ohio till 6:45 p.m. A broader circulation. Good news here, doesn't look like it's very tight right now, so it's a pretty broad circulation, meaning there's no really tight area of circulation, really anything to watch as far as tornado development, but it is still rotating, so the National Weather Service in Wilmington keeping that tornado warning up. Still, I would be in that tornado safe place if you're in the Nile community or if you're in the Friendship community in Scioto County. This is down by the Shawnee State Forest. Not much out here, but Nile, Friendship, Ohio. Those are spots you're going to need to watch. And again, that tornado safe place is an interior room on the lowest floor of a sturdy site-built structure. A lot of walls between you and the outside world. It's a basement if you can. If no basement, the first floor is fine. You want to bring in a cushioning to keep yourself protected. Keep yourself informed by taking your phone in there, listening to us, and once we can sound an all clear, we will. Vanceburg, we're sounding an all clear for you. This threat has passed. No more tornado warning for Lewis County, Kentucky. It's now southwestern Scioto County, Ohio. Moving up to Pike County, Ohio. This is that next circulation. This one's a pretty tight circulation right here near Sinking Spring, Ohio, right along Ohio State Route 124, headed toward the Morgantown, Ohio area, the Sunfish, Ohio area. Big corridor right here, Ohio State Route 32, the Appalachian Highway corridor that goes from Athens all the way to Cincinnati. It's just to the north of that, so I wouldn't say drivers don't need to be on that road at this point, but we're watching that circulation in between State Route 124, State Route 32 in Ohio. I want to go to that circulation 2 in between. That's not in the tornado warning yet. Let's keep an eye on and see if they have issued a new tornado warning on that yet. They have not, but again, it's pretty tight right here near State Route 348, just to the west of Otway, Ohio, and we'll ultimately see what they decide to do with this, but a pretty tight circulation here. First alert for you, if you're in Raritan, if you're in Otway, you need to maybe be thinking about getting to a tornado safe place soon, as there is a pretty tight circulation over you. Tony has more.
It's interesting, if you want to think back to March of 2012, the Otway Fire Department was hit by a tornado, and the western part of Scioto County, very flat, bottomlands, obviously indicating an area where it's very fertile. So oftentimes circulations are more prominent away from, for example, the hills, and they're more prominent in the flatlands. So severe thunderstorm warning, how do I distinguish that from a tornado warning? Well, they're very similar. You seek shelter. Any bleachers for soccer matches, for JV football games will be cleared. You're hearing the thunder and lightning, so you know intuitively a storm's moving in. If you live in that part of Scioto County Nicholas is talking about, before the thunder and lightning gets too prominent, there's always a chance of some hail to fall, so a good opportunity to get your car into a carport or a garage. And gusts of wind in the severe thunderstorm area can certainly be up to 60 miles an hour. So we're watching the Southern Ohio Medical, or I should say the SOMC weather cam, looking right up the Scioto Trail, and the activity clearly on the left-hand portion of your screen indicates some cumulonimbus clouds are getting close by, a sure sign some heavy weather is coming in. When you see a squall line of thunderstorms like this, oftentimes any tornadoes are brief and fleeting, as opposed to long track and doing lots of damage. We have to respect the fact that tornado warning's been issued for parts of Scioto and Lewis County. However, we're not seeing the individual storms. Like this one, for example, is catching my attention. Away from the tornado and severe thunderstorm warned area, we're seeing some heavy thunderstorms that are moving through northern Cabell into Mason, into Putnam County. You might be saying, well, that's where my kids are playing, so I want to know about that. Charleston, south, it's quiet right now. We'll see this main line of showers and thunderstorms move in later on. But naturally, since it's quiet in the coal fields and much of Charleston south, we want to focus our attention on where the most prominent activity is. And right now it's in central Mason County, and in particular, here's the Doppler radar presentation. It's something you don't usually see in WSAZ meteorology, and that is the wind aloft we're tracking right now. So we're looking literally at winds in the atmosphere that are trying to probe for stronger winds, for example, on the Scioto and the Lewis County line, measuring a mere 18 miles an hour there. But east of Lewisburg, or east of Vanceburg, where there was a tornado warning for a time, the winds are 34 miles an hour. And look at the clustering. What's catching my attention is this clustering of electrical strikes that's going on right now. In fact, if I was to probe this very, very closely, this area through Adams, Lewis, Scioto County right now, the number of lightning strikes is up to 175 in the last half hour, and that's up from 100 earlier on. So this is a electrical storm, which is unusual for September. You think of electrical storms during the spring and into especially the summer season. But in this case, we're getting quite a bit of electrical activity from this squall line of thunderstorms that's marching eastward. Again, the preliminaries are coming out of Cabell, eastern Lawrence, over into Mason County. These are going to be prominent for some lightning strikes and for some heavy downpour that will cancel some outdoor activities. And the squall line catches your attention because you want to know when's it coming to your neighborhood. You can see the forward motion is taking it toward the Scioto Trail and into, for example, Carter County and into Rowan County right now. 6 o'clock, Chillicothe, Piketon, Portsmouth. Well, that's the Scioto Trail. Right now it's 6:21. 8 o'clock, that should arrive from Athens down toward Huntington, and 10 o'clock east over toward the Kanawha Valley. Bottom line is showers and thunderstorms preliminary have taken on a heavy downpour look, but non-severe, at least right now. Of course, a lightning strike can make anything severe, right? And the overall pattern is one where showers and thunderstorms are more potent in a long line to the west. Why are they potent? Well, they're feeding on the heat and humidity of today, temperatures in the 80s, and the humidity has come up for the first time, it seems, in a month. Yesterday, today, and even Saturday in the mountains, the humidity was high enough for downpours in parts of the area, and the downpours are grabbing some stronger winds up in the heavens and bringing them down. So no doubt about it, there's going to be a downpour through most of the area here during the evening hours, and as it moves off to the east, expectations are, even though it may be non-severe to the meteorologist, there will be some lightning strikes and perhaps some gusty winds moving into southern Ohio, northern Kentucky, and eventually into the river cities and onto the Kanawha Valley from 6 till 10 o'clock is the time. Nick, what do you got for us?
All right, let's kind of go up and down this line here so we can track exactly what we're seeing. First and foremost, tornado warning in Pike County, Ohio. That does include the cities of Waverly and Piketon. This goes until 6:45 p.m. If we can move the map just a little bit to the east so we can get that. There we go, 6:45 p.m. Again, including Waverly and Piketon. 2 areas of circulation they're watching right along the Highland and Pike County line, as well as right here along the Adams and Pike County line right here. Circulation number 1 up to the north there. Circulation number 2 right along, again, the Adams and Pike County line. They're watching that. Tornado warning goes until 6:45 p.m. It does include US 23, State Route 104 in Waverly and Piketon. Moving to the east at 30 miles an hour. So let's put a track on the first circulation, then we'll get a track on that second circulation after we give you kind of a detail on what's going on there. 6:30 p.m. Newfane, Ohio. You want to be in that tornado safe place right now. Kincaid Springs, 6:35 p.m. Same thing for you. Get into that tornado safe place right now. Morgantown, Ohio, 6:42 p.m. Peeble at 6:52 p.m. You want to start thinking about getting to that tornado safe place. If you're toward Dalyville, 6:58 p.m. and toward the PP Creek area, 7:03 p.m. You want to get into that tornado safe place. So start thinking about it, not necessarily getting there now. That tornado safe place is a basement if you have one. If no basement's available, a small room near the center of your home away from windows, and you do not want to be in a mobile home. That's not a safe place to be. Here's that second area of circulation. Poplar Grove, 6:25 p.m. Get into that tornado safe place now. It's basically right on top of you right now. 6:32 p.m. Arco, 6:40 p.m. Elm Grove, 6:43 p.m. Idaho, 6:56 p.m. Here's a pretty good population center, Piketon, Ohio, and 6:58 p.m. again toward the PP Creek area. To move further to the south, we are tracking a few more areas of rotation in parts of Scioto County. This is the one that has a tornado warning on it until 6:30 p.m. It's to the west of Portsmouth. It is into the Shawnee State Forest right now, so not a lot out in this general area. But if it does hold together, downtown Portsmouth, you would be next in line for that. You'd start wanting to think about getting into that tornado safe place if you are into downtown Portsmouth. New Boston, 6:46 p.m. That's just to the east of downtown Portsmouth, right where the bypass kind of meets up with US 52 right there. Scioto Dale, 6:53 p.m. Fair Oaks, 6:57 p.m. and Giffart, hopefully I'm saying that one right, 7:02 p.m. is when you need to be in that safe place. I want to go up to that area of rotation that does not have a warning on it because it is still pretty prominent up here near Raritan, near Otway right here. State Route 73, that goes all the way up to Wilmington, Ohio, goes all the way down to Portsmouth, Ohio right here. It's right on top of Otway. Again, no tornado warning on this now, but it's a pretty tight circulation. So if you're toward Lucasville, Cockrell's Run here, State Route 104, US 23, you're going to want to keep this in mind and kind of monitor this. No tornado warning on it yet, but again, it's a pretty tight circulation on it, so we're keeping a close eye on that. 6:36 p.m. on Crabtree, 6:47 p.m. in Lucasville, and Preston Addition, 6:51 p.m. Let's zoom out. Let's get you an idea of where these severe thunderstorm warnings are on this line, because there are quite a few non-tornado warnings in the area, but they still have some gusty winds out of this. All of Scioto County in Ohio is under a severe thunderstorm warning with a tag of tornado possible, meaning they could issue a tornado warning at any time. Same thing for Pike County, Ohio. Further to the south, you're talking Greenup County, Kentucky. You're talking northern Carter County, Kentucky in that same alert. Northern Elliott County, Sandy Hook, all the way out toward Rowan County, toward Moorhead. Further to the south, West Liberty, and points west into Morgan County under a severe thunderstorm warning. These are ordinary severe thunderstorm warnings, meaning there's no rotation, but these could have some winds that could gust up to 60 miles an hour. So it's a line of storms that are strong, and of course the northern part of the line here, a couple tornado warnings, one in Pike County, Ohio, one in Scioto County, Ohio. So let's go back to the north, the northern tornado warning in Pike County, Ohio, give you an idea of what we're tracking here. Again, let's turn that velocity on near the Sinking Spring area. That's right along the Highland-Pike County line. Two areas of rotation, again, that we're monitoring north of Sinking Spring, right along the county line of Highland County, Ohio, and Pike County, Ohio. The second circulation which is a bit broader, I should say, a little bit further to the south of Sinking Spring, but headed toward Waverly and Piketon right here along US 23. Circulation number 2, or number 3, I should say, further to the south near Otway right here, and the circulation number 4, which also has another tornado warning on it, just to the west of downtown Portsmouth. And again, this is getting close to the edge of the tornado warning, so we'll ultimately have to see what the National Weather Service in Wilmington, Ohio decides to do as it tracks off to the east. Portsmouth and Lucasville, giving you that first alert now, though. Even though there's no tornado warning for you guys just yet, there may be in the coming minutes. That's why we're giving you that heads up. Tony is back with more.
And Nicholas, as we always do, we follow the so-called feed from the National Weather Service. And right now, the only severe weather reports are just to the west of the WSAZ viewing area, but reports sometimes filter in over time and can take a while before they reach the media. As far as what we call the SLAC data feeds concerned, still no tornadoes reported. Again, oftentimes you'll wind up with some circulation up in the clouds that translates to a tornado warning because the National Weather Service is seeing the rotation, like Nicholas and Hannah are showing those couplets on Doppler radar, but sometimes it has a hard time reaching the ground. So what do we mean by being a severe thunderstorm or tornado warning? In this case, they're similar. Seeking safe shelter as you hear the thunder get louder and louder. Naturally, the bleachers are cleared for any outdoor sports or, for example, band cheerleading practices. Car and carport and under a garage, into a garage, well, naturally, because of the strong winds, that can certainly occur. We're still watching the Southern Ohio Medical Center weather cam in Portsmouth, where right now the activity is down toward the old golf course, where the heavy downpours are moving in. And naturally, everyone's going to get rain this evening, and some torrential rains will fall. No doubt there'll be some street flooding from these downpours coming in. I want to focus my attention on areas away from the tornado warning where north of Huntington, north of Charleston is where showers and thunderstorms are on the move. But from Charleston south, including Huntington now, pretty quiet for another hour or two before the main line moves in. And I want you to note this area back toward Carter County, Kentucky, Nicholas, over toward Vanceburg, southeastern Lewis County, because this now has a signature on the vertically integrated liquid. Fancy way of saying it's got some potential. We're keeping a close eye on this as it moves toward Carter County and moves toward Greenup County for the possibility of some heavy weather. So new tornado or new severe thunderstorm warning likely coming as we go from Smoky Valley. That would be the old rest stop. Remember the great restaurant there on I-64 Carter, over near the area where we get that furniture at good prices, and down toward Tigard's Valley. So the western part of Carter County apt to be impacted by this storm that looks severe on Doppler radar. Again, what Hannah and Nicholas have been watching are the couplets of red and green next to each other. These are oftentimes the indication there may be some circulation creating the possibility of tornadoes, and that's why the Doppler radar has been lighting up, and that's why the National Weather Service has dutifully issued a few tornado warnings here this afternoon and this evening. It's a squall line of thunderstorms, so the main threat's going to be some lightning strikes. I'm looking at the area near Portsmouth. This is a prolific lightning producer right now, and as it moves toward the Scioto Valley, you're getting plenty of advance notice. Even if you're not looking at radar or the WSAZ app, you're getting advance notice that the clouds are thickening, the thunder is getting louder, and the lightning is getting prominent as it moves towards your area. The bottom line, showers and thunderstorms are about to cross the entire area, and as they do, opportunity for heavy weather and at least a chance of a brief tornado touchdown has to be respected. Nicholas?
All right, so for now, Scioto County, Ohio has been canceled, but there is still that tornado warning for Pike County, Ohio. Hannah's bringing up the total of rain that we've seen over the last hour. These haven't been terribly prolific rain producers, at least in the last hour, but as you see back to the west where you see these yellow areas, it's an inch or two of rain that has already fallen. Again, the good news is we can now pretty much sound the all clear for those of us in Portsmouth and anyone in Scioto County. They did not ultimately issue a new tornado warning for that just yet. I still want to keep a close eye on a few areas of rotation here to the northwest of Portsmouth. This one toward Otway has really broadened out, so good on the National Weather Service in Wilmington for kind of keeping their head on that and making sure that it's basically just a non-huge issue at this point. We still do, though, have a tornado warning for Pike County, Ohio to the west of Waverly and Piketon. I want to go to the Portsmouth weather camera right now. They are actually getting this storm on top of them, and they actually have the rotation on us right now. There's that Portsmouth weather camera. It's pretty astonishing what's going on. Pretty heavy rain that we're seeing. And again, this is why you don't want to be out in a tornado warning situation, because you really just can't see what exactly is going on. There's a lot of rain with these storms. There's not a whole lot of flat land to be able to view this. Lots of trees and hills nearby. So low visibility, lots of wind, and if this area of rotation or if any other areas of rotation did produce any sort of a tornado possible, that's why you don't want to be out in it, because you really can't see. Camera's shaking as well, so quite a heavy downpour in Portsmouth. Let's head back to our radar picture now, and again, I want to give you an idea of where the rotation is now in Pike County, Ohio. This is the one lone tornado warning within our viewing area at this point. Let's zoom back into that. Again, central Pike County, Ohio till 6:45 p.m. We're getting close to this expiring, and the good news is the rotation's kind of broadening out just a little bit. I'd still be on alert if you're toward Waverly and Piketon, but the good news is most of this activity is kind of starting to wind down, hit a more stable atmosphere, and hit energy, I should say, that is really less favorable for the development of any stronger storms. So there's some good news. Still, we're going to stay on this until 6:45 p.m. That's when that tornado warning expires, and as we say that, they just updated that tornado warning, canceling out portions of Highland County, Ohio, and Adams County, Ohio here. Still the two areas of circulation I'm watching, northwestern Pike County to the east of Brush Creek there in Highland County, Ohio. And again, one area of rotation to the north of State Route 32. That runs all the way from Waverly and Piketon west out towards Cincinnati. That's a big corridor, the Appalachian Highway corridor. Probably not a good idea to be traveling along it at this time, considering what's going on in there. And again, that would be Pike County, Ohio that we're watching. But area number 1 of rotation, northwestern Pike County, Ohio, and area number 2 of rotation in west central Pike County, Ohio. Hannah, is there anything that you had to add here? Or, okay, we're still looking at that tornado warning continuing here. Let's track this further to the east now. From circulation number 1, let's start. And again, this is 30 miles an hour to the east-northeast here, and we'll continue to keep an eye on that. And again, it's a broader circulation than where it was before, but there ultimately still is a tornado warning on it. So Morgantown, 6:40 p.m. That's Morgantown, Ohio. Peeble, Ohio, 6:50 p.m. Peck, Ohio, 7 p.m., 7:05 p.m. Alma. Peck and Alma are outside of the tornado warning, but we're giving you that first alert right now. Now, let's go down further to the south. This second area of circulation would impact Waverly and Piketon if it does hold together. So Idaho, Ohio, 6:39 p.m. You want to get into that tornado safe place right now. Dahliaville, Ohio, 6:49 p.m. Start thinking about it. Lakeview Heights, 6:51 p.m. Pee Creek, 6:55 p.m. and Bristol Village at 6:58 p.m. This would be right along the US 23 corridor, along the other side of the Scioto River here. That would be State Route 104. Lots of businesses, gas stations in the Piketon area. I've traveled this road a lot, traveling to and from home here. And again, it looks like this circulation trying to wrap up a little bit here, but it's still fairly broad. Just to be on the safe side, again, Waverly, Piketon, start thinking about getting to that tornado safe place. No sort of definite issue of a tornado on the ground yet, and it doesn't look like we have a tornado on the ground based on the signature we do have. But basically what the National Weather Service in Wilmington is saying is that the rotation is strong enough to continue a tornado warning there. So those of us in western Pike County, Ohio, not a whole lot out here, but if you're traveling along the Appalachian Highway corridor pretty much from Piketon all the way west to the Highland County line to the Adams County line, that's State Route 32 in Ohio, you don't want to be driving there because that's not a good situation. Cars are never a safe place to be during a tornado. So we're keeping that in mind if we are in Pike County, Ohio. This tornado warning does have 10 more minutes onto it, and again, it looks like it continues to weaken, but we're going to stay on it until we can sound it all clear. I want to go further to the south now into Scioto County, Ohio, where things have looked a lot better compared to where they were. Still a little broad rotation just to the east of Portsmouth, but we can ultimately sound it all clear for those of us in Scioto County, Ohio. So Portsmouth, New Boston, I know we put you on alert a little bit earlier. We can now sound it all clear. The main threat now into western Pike County, Ohio, moving toward the Waverly and Piketon area, and that tornado warning, this red box here, does continue until 6:45 p.m. Again, a radar indicated threat, meaning no tornado on the ground just yet, but a tornado could occur at any time. Tony has more.
You know, I was just consulting with the Storm Prediction Center. They're the most prominent experts in the whole country as far as severe weather is concerned. And they look at the country and they're looking for really big tornadoes, really big derechos, for example, during the summer season. And their text continues to suggest this is not a big severe weather night from a standpoint of big tornadoes. So we are watching the radar, and we are dutifully mentioning the fact that the National Weather Service has issued a couple of tornado warnings to the west right now. Since there are no reports, expectations are as this line moves eastward, the sun's getting lower and lower on the horizon, going down earlier. As Nicholas mentions, it will be moving into a less favorable atmosphere for severe weather. And since severe weather to the west has been somewhat sparse during this afternoon, there have been some reports, and no doubt there are some reports that have not yet been received. The bottom line is this looks like an intense squall line that we'd see during springtime with showers and thunderstorms of the mainly non-severe variety. I want to point my attention to Huntington to Charleston. Soccer practices this evening may have been briefly interrupted, but we're fine now. But if your soccer practice ends after sundown, that squall line's coming in with a potency. I do want to focus my attention on Mason County, north of Putnam County. Showers and thunderstorms on the move. Again, a new cell has just formed to the north of Williamson. So yes, activity is in the formation standpoint. And again, that storm I was tracking through southern Lewis into parts of Carter County, when it's gone from, I'll show you the color it had just a little while ago. I want you to watch the color change over the last 15 minutes. And this means there's likely been a downburst windstorm that's occurred from Harris, which is just across the county line from Carter County over toward Rowan County. That was likely a strong windstorm that has now kind of blown itself out. And now shower and thunderstorms are left over, but not necessarily tornadic storms and not necessarily severe storms. What I see on Doppler radar is a classic downpour line that's coming in, a line that wants to try to flood some viaducts, whether it be in Scioto County and down, for example, toward eastern Kentucky in the Licking Valley. That's a squall line that's moving in. And I want you to note this protrusion I'm noticing. We call this a basically echo that protrudes out right there coming into Lucasville and Portsmouth. Can you see how it protrudes? Let me stop the radar and you'll be able to see the fact that this protrusion, this arc, this squall has a little arrowhead to it. And that arrowhead in there, finally got it drawn, is where there's likely to be the most potent winds with this event, right in through here. And so if we were to probe this with our Doppler radar velocity scan and look at the amount of wind that's being produced, whether it's be Portsmouth City up toward the fairgrounds and down toward northern Lewis County, we're seeing winds in the neighborhood of 30 and 35 miles an hour. Likely non-severe, but certainly potent enough to produce some strong winds and some potent lines of showers and thunderstorms. 7 o'clock, as we come up on the next 20 minutes toward and east of Jackson, the Apple Festival over right now. Downtown open for business again. And look as you get over toward 8 o'clock, where's that line reach? It reaches from Athens down to Huntington in eastern Kentucky. And whereas there's a preliminary storm line north of Charleston right now, the main line won't be approaching the Kanawha Valley till 10 o'clock. So soccer matches, cheerleading practices, football practices should be fine because the main activity in Charleston City and Kanawha Valley won't be coming until about 10 o'clock. Still, when you see a scroll across your screen for a severe thunderstorm warning at any time of the year, well, naturally you seek safe shelter. On a evening in September when the bleachers may have had some bands practicing or some soccer practices going on, naturally they get clear, but these are intuitive, right? And naturally, if you sense the severe thunderstorm was coming when you see the radar with us, obviously if your car's inside a garage or in a carport, it's protected in the event hail or wind damage was to occur. And right now, the only wind damage I've seen has been just to the west of the WSAZ viewing area. But that 7, 8, and 10 o'clock time period certainly will hold for the arrival of these storms. And the question is, how severe will they be? So far to the west, they've been severe enough for the National Weather Service out of Wilmington, Ohio, to issue several thunderstorm warnings and even a couple of tornado warnings. Now, Wilmington's passing the baton to Jackson, Kentucky, and to Charleston, West Virginia, 2 other National Weather Service offices to issue any possible warnings coming from that activity. Nicholas?
All right, so 2 things I want to pass along. First of all, we have a tree down, purported trees down in southwestern Scioto County, US 52 near Buena Vista. Thunderstorm tree damage from that thunderstorm. So that's one report that we got. I want to also show a picture that we got from Vanceburg, Kentucky of the clouds rolling in. That does appear to be a shelf cloud right here, maybe a little bit of a lowering here that would indicate a wall cloud. But the good news is we're not seeing any sort of tornadic activity with this. But thank you to a viewer in Vanceburg, Kentucky, who sent us this. Let's go back to the tornado warning that's up in Pike County, Ohio. And again, we're still seeing a broadening out of this circulation right now. 6:45 p.m. is when this tornado warning expires, but still a little bit of circulation to the northwest of Piketon. This would be traveling to the north and east, so up eventually into Ross County, Ohio, which would be outside of our viewing area. That would be handed off to the Columbus, Ohio television market. But Peeble, 6:46 p.m., 6:57 p.m. in Peck. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Though, since there are no tornado warnings in Scioto County with still very weak areas, I should say, of rotation, I would not at all be surprised if the National Weather Service in Wilmington, Ohio, did allow them to expire this warning, and we just went back to regular programming. We're going to stay on this until this red box completely disappears, but there's 2 more minutes left on this tornado warning, and once it goes away, we'll be able to toss you back to NBC Nightly News. 6:45 p.m. though, still be on alert if you're in Waverly and Piketon. I wouldn't really head to that tornado safe place just yet, but it's something we'll have to keep an eye on. Again, it's a radar indicated threat, meaning that there is no sort of tornado on the ground with this activity, and we can see here on our radar there's absolutely no tornadic debris. We want to look for these deeper blues that you see up here on the scale that would indicate any sort of tornadic debris. Seeing a lot of lightning on our Scioto County camera down toward Portsmouth. And again, broad rotation and weaker rotation compared to what we were seeing back to the west in parts of Highland and Adams County in Ohio. So good news. Outside of this, severe thunderstorm warnings do continue for all of Scioto County, all the way down into parts of Lewis County, Kentucky, Carter County, Kentucky. Does now include western Lawrence County, Ohio, Boyd County, Kentucky, and the eastern part of Carter County, Kentucky as well. Also, new severe thunderstorm warnings now including Salyersville, McGoffin County, Kentucky, the eastern part of Morgan County, Kentucky, and far western portions of Johnson County, Kentucky. But the one thing, and again, one more minute remaining on this tornado warning until 6:45 p.m. to Pike County, Ohio, and it does look like they are going to allow this to expire. So once that red box disappears, we will send this back to regular programming and get you back to your nightly news. Keep in mind, as this works off to the east, it's a lower environment for severe weather, meaning we are not going to be seeing these storms really hold themselves together too much. We haven't had a whole lot of sunshine today in these general areas, especially with this round of rain that's currently now in Mason County, West Virginia, entering into Jackson County, West Virginia, kind of stealing away all the energy. So right now there are no tornado warnings within the viewing area. We're going to go ahead and sound an all clear to everybody, and we're going to send you back to NBC Nightly News.